FASH66 wall planogram tutorial, and finally we're up and running, and we'll be discussing basically things to put on your wall planogram, and these are things that you can review at your leisure. Okay, so we start off with shelving. We reviewed it several times already, so it should be self-explanatory at this point, which is basically drafting a rectangle. So you use the rectangle tool and you draft a rectangle. Make sure that you don't at the beginning have any fill and you just have black stroke, or an outline color. So obviously here where I am pointing with my cursor, basically I'm showing you that this is for the fill and this is for the stroke color. In terms of if you want a wooden shelving, just make sure you think about how wide. So you can use the black arrow and you can make it a little wider, you can make it a little thinner, just don't make it too bulky. Make it realistic. And if you wanted to color with wood grain, let's say, get your wood swatch, and we're going to review clipping mask. Make sure that your pattern is bigger than your shape. Okay, and in this case it is. This is my shelf, let's say, and I'm going to put it over my swatch. Now you can see I can't see my shelf anymore, I can't see my rectangle, and what happens is I need to send this to back because I can't do a clipping mask. That's why I compare this to cookie cutter. This is my cookie dough, and my cookie cutter is my shape. So I have to right click on this, arrange, and send to back, and now I could see my rectangle. And as you can see, my rectangle has white fill and it shouldn't. If your shape has a fill, it won't let you do a clipping mask. So I select where I want the actual shape, and I look at the wood grain. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to get a black arrow, draw a box around it, right click, and make clipping mask. Now remember, with the clipping mask, it automatically takes out the stroke color, so I need to select it and go ahead and get stroke. In fact, I'm going to show my swatches. I'm going to click on window, click on swatches, and sorry, my computer is really slow right now. I couldn't get a new computer, and the program I had to download is taking a lot of resources. So I'm going to take a brown color to make it look a little more realistic, and that's my brown wooden shelf. And as reviewed before, to do folded merchandise, just use the rounded rectangle tool. Okay. And to make copies, select it and press Alt. And when you see that double arrow, you can just continue to stack and stack and stack. Now remember, if you're stacking and there's little spaces, or one's this way, one's that way, the Pathfinder tool is useful for stacking. So you can go under Window and click Pathfinder, and the middle tab is the Align to, Align tab, or you can go to Window and go straight to Align. So basically, you can align your objects however you want. If you have an object that's a little off to the side like this, if I select all of them and horizontal align center, it stacks everything to the center. Also, if you want to distribute objects, see how it'll distribute. Vertical distribution center will distribute everything equally vertically, so that's perfect for your stack. And now you're ready to actually add color to it. And I just did it for the fill, and that's not what for the stroke, and I want it for the fill. You do want stroke color, so don't forget the stroke color. And a couple of these will have the same red. For some reason it keeps switching, so sorry, my Illustrator's going haywire ever since I downloaded this new software. It just can't take the resources. But you get the idea. So that's how you can do your stacking merchandise. If you wanted to do glass, just remember the special effects for this is graphic style. So you can go under Window and go to graphic styles, or Shift F5, and it'll take you to this. And you're going to click on this little corner here, open graphic style library, and go under textures, yours should be faster than mine. Mine's just really slow. And you can click on glass. And now I have my glass shelving. This is one of the few exceptions you don't need stroke color. And if you want to make it look realistic, like the shelving's being held by metal brackets, you can actually create just some rectangles. Okay, and then just add gray color. You can add a metal gradient to make it look like chrome. And for metal gradients, just make sure you go under window, make sure that your swatches are shown. And then you can open swatch library, and go to gradients, and then go to metals. This does look a little different. This is CS4. You have CS6, but don't worry, it means the same. You know, the basic components are the same. And if I want steel or silver or chrome, you can see all the different ones: copper, tin radio, pewter, chrome. And if I add chrome, it looks like chrome brackets are holding it up, or you can do pewter, or whatever the case may be. Okay? Same thing you can do here. It could be chrome holding on to the wood. Oops. If you want it, to the wooden shelves. Okay? And that's how you add a metal gradient to anything, really. So there you go. And that's how you can do your shelving. Next, in terms of product allocation, your face out. Okay, and again, the wall planogram is you looking at it straight on. So you just really need if it's a straight arm face out, and you just need the end cap, which would be circle or rectangular. You can curve the top and keep this straight if you want, and use the scissor tool to cut this, but it's up to you. And again, adding metal gradient, click on the fill button, and I'm just going to click on the gradient, and it looks like metal. If you want to do it solid black, you can as well. And you just have to make sure that you hang your hanger. I'll make it a little bit bigger. You need to understand that you're hanging your hanger. Group that. You're hanging your hanger behind it. So when you do this, you have to kind of work on the placement, and you have to send the face out to the front, because basically the hanger is hanging behind it. Okay, you don't want anything floating. Okay, so the hanger is hanging behind it, and then you can have a garment on top on the hanger, and you only need to show one because it's assumed that there's going to be more behind it. You only need to show the front one. Now, if you have a waterfall face out, then you have a rectangular tool. Again, only this time, and again, when you draft it, take out any fill. You want to add circles, and again, ellipse, and press shift. And for these, and the knobs probably should be smaller. Make sure you scale it correctly. Anytime you're going this small, though, you might want to make the stroke a little bit thinner if you want. For these purposes, it's fine, so I'm going to keep it. And then I'm just going to do Alt, make copies, and then just use the Align tool to actually select one with the black arrow, then press Shift, 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 so I can select everything. And I want to select like that, and see how it centers everything. So again, I aligned horizontal align center and vertical distribute center, and it just makes it perfect. Okay, so let's say those were my knobs. That's all I needed, let's say. Then you'd have the hanger placed here and have the closed, and then you can do another copy, another copy. Now the idea though here is you have to add fill. And if, let's say I was doing a black and white, I'm going to add fill here. And then I'm going to arrange my hanger to bring it forward. And then to bring it to the front. I'm bringing the hanger to the front of the bar, but you can send it behind the actual little ball where it's going to be resting, because the ball actually is in front of it. Okay, you can have it resting like this, that's okay, and use the arrow keys on your keyboard to do small incremental changes, and you can do that. Okay, and that's how you do a waterfall. If you kept it black and white, make sure that you add white fill so nothing's showing through. But if you're giving a color, you can use any of the metal gradients. If it's solid black, just make sure you understand, if it's solid black, you're going to give it black fill, then you need to give it a white or like a gray stroke color, because if it's all black, it's just going to look like one big blob. So what you want to do is, you can go ahead and keep it black, but then on the stroke, make sure you give it a gray color, and see, it'll stand out. Okay, so when you have really dark colors, give it a lighter colored outline. Okay. And in terms of hanging product, the rod, you can just strictly do a rounded rectangle. You can do a rectangle. It's entirely up to you. The ends look a little weird. I'm going to go ahead and no fill and black stroke only. You can just curve it a little bit or cut it off. You can make it rectangular, because some bars are rectangular. It's entirely up to you, but the rods are long. Okay, and if they're metal, give it the metal gradient or whatever color you want. You can give it gray too, it doesn't have to be gradient. And in terms of showing clothes on it, you need to show the hanger, and actually this one's not too bad. The only thing is, it needs to be reflected on the other side. You want to be facing this way, because usually that's how you would be hanging the items, not the other way around. So you can show the hanger hooking on. Simplest way though, and this is all I'll ask, is a straight line, because you only see the back of the hanger, so that's perfectly fine. Hanging product, rounded rectangle tool, and make it oblong. Okay. So that could be a pair of pants. If you want to make a sleeveless shirt, a sleeveless tank, then you actually go ahead and create a rounded rectangle tool again, and you make that the sleeve, the armhole opening, basically. Okay. Adjusting it a little bit. And you can make a little line, which is the seam of the tank top. That's the shoulder seam. Okay. You can make a line here, and that would be the side seam. You can just make long sleeves by doing a long rectangle, and that could be the sleeve. If indeed it's a sleeve, you want to make it a little wider than what I just did, if it's a short sleeve, so it doesn't look like it's sleeveless. Okay. Just like you see here. And show the hanger is on the bar, not floating around. You don't want to show garments that are floating. You actually want to show that they're hanging on a hanger. And you could show on the very bottom, and I'll zoom in so you could see. This is a great little, you can start with a rectangle and curve it and cut it, and that could be the holder. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. The straighter it is, the better, but from far away you can see that it's holding the rod, and it looks perfectly fine. Okay. And that is your folded merchandise. I'm sorry, your hanging merchandise. And in terms of signage, if you want the round, if you want the rectangle, you can use clipping mask, just how I showed you before. You can add frames if you want. And brushes, you can actually go to window brushes. And if you open brush library, you can do borders. And some are decorative frames. And if you do that, and sorry, it's going to take a while because my computer's really slow. These are all frames, but you can do a wooden frame. You just have to make that thinner, obviously. Okay, but you can do wooden frames, you can do that kind of frame. There's different kinds. Okay, like a matted look. These are frames potential frames you can use. And they can be frames also for mirrors, for artwork. It's entirely up to you. Okay. And you can use that for signage. You can do promotional signage and things like that. Okay. And that concludes our tutorial part 1 for the wall.